Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. A few weeks back, I suggested that CPS, and really Chicago more generally, it's not a repair mission, it's a rescue mission.
That's right.
You can't repair the hole in the hull if no one on board wants to repair it. So you need a third party to come try and get the people off who want to get off.
But are there enough lifeboats?
Well, they're not, but...
and what song will you be playing when it goes down? You
try and save as many as you can. I'm just an idea guy. You need more talented people to do the implementation. And one of them is Jeannie Allen. She is the CEO and founder of Center for Education Reform. And after the latest work stoppage at CPS by the Chicago Teachers Union, her organization put together a bunch of money to distribute to a bunch of private schools in Chicago to get as many kids onto lifeboats as they can. It's called their Chicago Rescue Grant Stop Award for the schools that have received up to $250,000 to cover the tuition costs of additional students they will accept coming out of the Chicago Public Schools. I like it. And as I understand it, they just took this upon themselves. They didn't go bend the knee before Cardinal Supich or ask permission from anybody. They just said, we've got this money. Here's an application if you're a school interested in accessing it for the purposes of taking in more students. We'll cover the tuition costs. You do the education, and let's get some kids prepared for the real world. Love it. Jeannie Allen joins us now. Jeannie, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning. Give us a sense of scale here. What kind of money did you put together? How many schools in Chicago are participating? How many kids are being helped?
Sure. Thank you so much. And you know what I love is when you said we didn't ask permission. You know, the P in STOP is permissionless. STOP stands for Sustainable, Transformational, Outstanding, and Permissionless Education. And it is sort of the new vision and guiding principle behind the work that we're doing at the Center for Education Reform to ensure every child gets a chance at a great education. And so we committed $5 million for the Stop Rescue Fund, and we had almost 100 applications pretty quickly. For people saying everything from I'll take 15 students at my school to I'll take 47 to one correction, we included charter schools or any actually learning institution. If we had had an after school or a boys and girls club that was willing to educate kids all day, as so many did during COVID, we would have supported them too. At the end of the day, we gave just under $5 million, 4.9, to 22 schools who are serving 2,000 students. And it is 12 diocesan schools, which came to us individually, not through the Archdiocese. That's a story for another day. Excuse me. And
I'd like to hear that story.
I want to hear that story.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe we have time.
A few charter schools, and then some independent private schools like Altus Academy and some others. So they are all outlined with details about what they want to do on the website, which is stopaward.com. And it was just, it was so exciting. I wrote something yesterday, Dan and Amy, about, Chicago. We have this little newsletter. And I was thinking about Frank Sinatra going, my kind of people, not my kind of people at the mayoral level, not my kind of people at the union level, but boy, these people just came out of the woodwork and said, we'll take them now. Like, we'll make sure we have enough support and resources. Most of them are not, most of them are subsidizing them. They're only asking for a portion of tuition, and they're going to extend them through next year and then work with either the tax credit program to get them covered in perpetuity, or other donations. Chicago Field School, Lab School, St. Procopius, St. Patrick, St. Genevieve, just phenomenal. And so every time someone says, oh, those schools, they cream, don't take anyone, really? No, actually, they're the ones who are always educating when everybody else in the system falls down.
So how do the parents apply, and did you get a lot of Chicago public school students?
So this was totally focused on Chicago public school students, new students. That was the quid pro quo for taking, for asking and for taking the funds. And the parents themselves were calling the schools. So part of, Amy, what got us motivated is when we actually heard from schools on the ground that they were getting overwhelmed by calls. So, for example, Distinctive Schools, the charter school network, that's 5 schools, had over 250 students that families who wanted to move their students over to Distinctive, like as soon as these schools shut down in CPS. Same with a lot of the private schools. These are all in very, very low income, deprived, underserved neighborhoods. And Chicago, South Side and Austin and other places. And they had people walking literally across the street from low-income housing saying, is there a place for my kids?
Yeah, I mean, I want to emphasize that point and name some names here because, right, the idea that it's you're going to these sort of high-end schools and the wealthier parts of the city. No, not really. Chicago West Side Christian School, North Lawndale, St. Anne's Catholic in Pilsen, St. Angela in Austin, Academy of St. Benedict the African in Inglewood, great people there. I know some of those people. Bob Mazakowski, Chicago Hope Academy on the west side. Bob Mazakowski is a hero. So, I mean, these are people that are sort of already in the business of working in the most difficult neighborhoods and educating anybody who, along with their parents, wants to have a choice. And now you just enhance their ability to do so.
Well, and you made a great point, in your opening about a lifeboat. And look, we'd love to get all 340,000 students to have an option. That option might be their local public school, by the way. A lot of people think just because you're giving people an option that you're saying that they have to go to a private or in some cases a charter. No, it's what works for the student. And what we saw, as you guys well know, over the last 24 months since COVID delivered this blow to our world and most particularly to families and students, is that there is no one-size-fits-all, that education should be tailored to the needs of kids. And everybody needs something different, particularly at such a strange time in our life, but always, right? Everyone's different. And so we want to give people the opportunity. Look, Illinois, considering how volatile and challenging the politics are, has done a reasonably good job. They stood up a charter school law, 15 years ago. It's modest. Something like 70,000 kids get an option, still a drop in the bucket. There's a tax credit program that I know is helping, again, the neediest of the needy kids get into schools of choice. But there's no reason at the end of the day that any philanthropist that supported the work to do this should have to put money on the table for these kids to get an option. There's right now, Chicago itself got $1.8 billion in federal relief funds.
Right.
All across the country, there are surplus relief funds. The Superintendents Association across the country just banded with what we affectionately call the blob, the education establishment, just yesterday sent a letter to Congress saying, oh, by the way, we have all these extra funds. Could we have an extension and could we spend them on facilities? Now, here's the irony of this. These children are still not in schools that meet their needs across the country. They're ping-ponging, open, shut, open, shut. Most school systems don't have really rigorous virtual education programs, which, by the way, do exist if you give parents an option. And they're asking for money on facilities as opposed to saying, let's give the money to students and families, fund them to make a decision about what's best for them. So we need to shine.
Yeah. I mean, that $1.8 billion that CPS got, I mean, that won't even cover the pay hike for the teachers in the 2019 contract. So, that just doesn't go as far as it used to. But yeah, no, I think your point is loud and clear. I wonder too, as word is getting out within these school communities, and again, just emphasis: Catholic, Lutheran, Christian, non-denominational, charter, across the board of choices. Are you seeing demand that exceeds your $5 million downstroke, and is this a program you're looking to build upon?
We're definitely seeing demand that exceeds the downstroke, Dan. We are, I won't say we're sort of one and done, but we wanted to stimulate and incentivize, again, the environment and help these kids first and foremost. It absolutely was a rescue mission for whatever we could offer. And we're really hoping that, the owner of the Cubs might step up to do it. You might get other people saying, hey, let's really give a lifeline to these kids on a permanent basis. So, for whatever it's worth, we're happy we're able to help families. But this really needs to, the concept behind it, that money should follow families, is really the principle. And it's an equity issue, right? It's a social justice issue. This is not a political issue.
You're using their language against them. That's not nice.
Well, have you gotten any threats from CTU? Because they love to threaten people and ruin their lives.
We've seen it before. I mean, the head of the American Federation of Teachers, Randy Weingarten, has her bots after us all the time, and they're constantly posting things about how awful we are, and going on our Twitter feed. So we've had that for the last 28 years, so it's nothing new. So if they are, I haven't seen it. It doesn't matter. But honestly, they don't have a leg to stand on. They have stopped working repeatedly. They've had, 8 strikes?
Well, 5 times in 10 years, they've had a work stoppage or a strike. And we've been there all 10 years of it. Trust me, we've had to deal with this.
And this exactly, and Chicagoans have had to live with it. But the ridiculous part of it is that this doesn't represent the rank and file of most teachers. Mm-hmm. They want to do this, pay the teachers directly to have the flexibility and freedom to choose where they want to work, allow them to run schools, and get out of their way. And guess what? If they want unions to help them, let them choose to have a union. This mandated compulsory union representation is such a 1965 thing. It's extraordinary the public lets it continue to happen. And I hope that after these last stoppages, in particular in your fair city, people will wake up.
So, I mean, did you choose Chicago the way that Mother Teresa chose Calcutta, one of the most challenging mission fields possible, or?
Yeah, I have to say that we're still the echo of Bill Bennett in 1987 saying it was the worst system in Chicago in the country, which was so true. Former Education Secretary William Bennett, which stung then. And look, things did begin to get a little bit better. There were some little higher standards, higher bar, little challenges for a blip of time a few years ago, but it's been stagnant since that slight rise in achievement. And so what does Chicago have that nobody else seems to have? A lot of close seconds, Philadelphia among them, which is where Jeannie, our founder of our Stop Award, is from. But Chicago has had uniquely the most continual work stoppages, challenges, and complete disregard for human lives in the public school system. It's just incredible.
And that's the way we like it.
Well, no, it's so bad. People are going to be challenging Stacey Davis Gates and Jesse Sharkey in their upcoming CTU elections because they think they've gotten, are you ready, too political.
Too political.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. So look, I mean, this is the bottom line. These are, at the end of the day, for the most part, a majority of people who think that they are carrying on the great the labor tradition of years of old. Look, it helped my father's people, Italian immigrants in New York, back in the 30s when labor came to their rescue, when they were being discriminated against. It's helped many, many people over time. It has ceased helping people, particularly in public education. And that's why there was a Supreme Court decision back in June of 2019, the Janus decision that actually originated from Illinois, that said you can't mandate that a teacher, pay for dues for an organization they don't want to be part of. That's not spread nearly as much as it should. And if it did, we might have a difference. Out there, a lot of teachers are being told, and I know many of them personally, that if they even try to stop or encourage teachers to stop, that there'll be actions against them. So the teachers unions is fighting to keep alive. It's fighting to keep people controlled, and it's fighting to do something that once was noble and has ceased being long ago.
Yeah. In Chicago, we still haven't got over Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. We still think it's 1906 for some reason.
Exactly.
Jeannie Allen, CEO and founder of the Center for Education Reform. People, if you're going to continue doing this, and the schools that are still participating, maybe they have spots. Where can parents listening get more information about the schools and the opportunities?
Please. So two things I'd say to people listening. First and foremost, stopaward.com or email info@stopaward.com, and we can certainly put people in touch with the schools that may have room or give you other ideas. Stop Award also is now our signature program that encourages providers all across the country. We rewarded the best providers during COVID, had a major competition. We'll be opening up that again. And so if there are other schools and institutions, learning, micro schools, pods the parents are running, that want to be part of that, they can also apply. And then just follow along at edreform.com. We have newsletters. We have ways to inform people. We just believe information is power. Parents should have it, and would love to help anybody in Chicago or in Illinois that wants to try to give it to them.
Very good. Jeannie Allen, CEO and founder of Center for Education Reform. Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks even more for helping all those kids in Chicago. Appreciate it.
Thanks for highlighting it. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed.